So I saw in the community thread that Joe Deegan was asking some questions about how to create kind of a 3D look to make it look like it's inside of a store. And so I thought I'd throw in a few things. He's got a couple of neat things going on here. So when you actually look at let's make the thumbnail a little bigger here. So when you look at it, you can kind of see it's got this look like there's some depth there. But I think what's missing, it's not a very natural looking 3D. So it's I think it's really, it kind of looks flat and manufactured. So a couple of ideas that I would throw out there. One is it's about scale. So for example, the floorboard here looks kind of high. So thinking of how most of these floorboards are anywhere from 2 to 6 inches high, that would imply that you're pretty close to the wall in terms of the distance you have here. There's really nothing to scale the eye. So there's nothing in the foreground here that tells me what the distance is. So there are a few things that you could do. One is you can actually make this smaller. So if you made it smaller, then it implies that you're a little further away. The other thing is, you can, let's see here. The other thing you could do is take this object that you've created here and let's scale it down. If you move it, I'm moving everything but that object. So if we take this object and we move it away, now all of a sudden it's further away from the wall. Now if you add a person, let's say, I don't know if I have a person here real quick. Let's say this is a person here. So I've got this person. Now if I put this person in front of this object, and then if I had another person sitting there, it gives me a sense of scale and distance. The same thing as if I put this person, let's bring that to the front. If I put this person in front, so again gives me a sense of distance. The other thing I think is missing is that there's no real 3D depth. So what I would do is I would take something and draw, like let's do this here. Let's just do this, and we can fill this here with green. So now I've got a wall. So now I've got a greater sense of depth, which then lends itself to what I can do in this 3D environment. And then you can play around with the lighting. So for example, if it's going to be a little darker in the corners than it will be out here. Now when I was doing video work years ago, we would actually, you could create depth with your shadows. So then the other thing you could do is create a window or a door or a break in the wall somewhere, here, that would lend itself to something being further off in the distance. So then again you break it off. So maybe this is a gap in the showroom, for example, and this actually would go out somewhere in here. So this could be a blurred out image, which again gives a greater sense of depth and perspective. One other thing that you could do is, I went to this blank slide, what if you created your 3D environment real quick? And so what we would do is just take this tool here, let's do this, and this isn't going to be perfect, but you kind of get the idea. So we've got our tool right here, and we're going to go to 3D rotation, and let's go ahead and add this perspective here, and we can change it. Let's go back to this properties window. So we've got our properties here, and now I'm going to go ahead and my 3D format, I'm going to make this real deep so we can see. Let's do 300. That's a little exaggerated. Let's do 100. So I've got this floor here, and now I can play around with my rotations. I can change the perspective on the rotation a little, probably make it a little tighter, and then I can rotate it, and so now that quickly I've got a 3D look. And then if I scale this up, and play around with the depth of it, I've got that. Let's go ahead and make it a little deeper and see what this does. So let's do 500. So I've got this, and so this kind of, oops, I deleted it here. So I've got my 500 before the time runs out. Oops, no, that's not 500. 500, and so now I can take this and I can move it up, and you can kind of get the sense of that.